Hey everyone, it's Angela with Create Your Future. Thanks for being here, guys. Happy Saturday. So in our video today, I want to talk about persisting even when things do not look like they are working in your favor. I want to talk about cultivating the faith that keeps you focused on the end and believing, no matter what you're seeing, that everything is working out for you, that things are always somehow, some way moving you towards your desired end. Okay? So I'm going to start with a verse here just to kind of get us going in the mindset. This is in Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. So that's telling us right there that when we're called according to his purpose, right? The purpose of right thinking, the purpose of believing, the purpose of faith, the purpose of trust, that everything is working together for our good. And it moves us into not looking at things as obstacles, but just trusting and believing that somehow, some way, this is part of the process. This is part of the journey to get me to where I'm going. I'm just going to trust. I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to let it be what it is in the moment. So I'm going to start with a story that I've shared before. This is a story about my son when he manifested a gun safe. And I've shared this in detail in other videos, but I'm going to touch on it briefly here. So several years ago, this was during COVID, my son had really wanted a gun safe. In fact, he had wanted one for years, and they're very expensive. So he finally got a gun safe. Somebody, a friend, bought it for him. And it was not exactly what he wanted. It didn't have all the bells and whistles and all the things that he wanted, but he got a gun safe. He didn't have to buy it. Someone got it for him. And very shortly after he got it, I mean, very shortly, it was damaged. It was compromised. Somebody did try to break into it, and it was really torn up, and he was really devastated. It was kind of a bad deal. He felt really bad. But after, just a short time, we kind of got on top of it, and I began reminding him, you know what, everything's going to work out for you, for your best interest. You have favor. And he really grabbed a hold of that, and he started believing somehow, some way, this is all going to work out for me. It's going to work out in my best interest. And what ended up finally, through a series of events, what ended up happening was he ended up with 3 gun safes. He had the one that was damaged. He got another one from the company that was exactly like the damaged one. And then he got a third one from the company that had everything on it that he wanted. He didn't have to buy any of them. He didn't have to spend any money on them. He had all 3 gun safes at one time. And so he actually ended up selling 2 of them, the first one that was damaged, the second one that came in, made a good amount of money, and ended up with the gun safe that he had wanted, that had everything on it that he wanted. I can't remember all the details, fireproof and some other things. But through a series of events that really looked like nothing was working in his favor. In fact, it looked like, oh man, this all fell apart. Oh man, I can't believe this happened. It looked pretty negative. He continued to persist, and the natural bridge of incidents worked out so that he came out on top in a huge way. Made money. He profited. He had more money in his checking account than when the whole thing began. And he had the gun safe that he wanted. Now, he had favor. Everything was working together for him. But it was one of those situations where he had to trust. He had to believe. He had to really double down in his faith, in his trust, that it was somehow, some way going to work out for him. And it did. It worked out for him in a huge way. So that's my first story that I wanted to share. Now, the second one is a story from Neville Goddard. And this story is about when he and his wife were looking for an apartment in New York City. And they had, all of the specifics in mind for what kind of place they wanted to rent, and they also had the rental amount, how much they wanted to pay in mind. So Neville and his wife looked, they finally found a place that they liked. It had all the specifics that they wanted, but the rent was higher than what they wanted to pay. So I think Neville, in the way that he shared this, said that his wife's response was, well, it's not working. The law doesn't work, or we're not doing a good job with our manifestation. Neville, however, did nothing. His nothing equates to he wasn't triggered. He didn't give up in his intention for what he truly wanted to pay. He didn't give up on his faith. He did nothing. He did not react. And in fact, he even rented this apartment and paid the higher rental rate. I think for several months, he paid the higher rate. Now, because he paid this higher rate, he kind of indicates that he had a little bit of favor. So they were able to pick out the paint colors that they wanted in the apartment. Their apartment was repainted for them. They were even able to pick out wallpaper and had the wallpaper put up in the apartment. And Neville got a bookcase built. They built a bookcase for him that covered like an entire wall for all of his books. He had a lot of favor because they were in a little bit higher price range, right, for what they were paying for the apartment. Well, after several months, the manager or landlord of the property came to Neville and said that a city official had contacted him and looked over the books and told them that they were charging too much for the apartment. So the rental rate was reduced to the dollar amount that Neville had intended to pay to begin with. And it was retroactive, so he was reimbursed for the extra amount that he had paid. So Neville had favor in this situation in that because he was paying a little bit extra, right, for the rent, they did extra things for him. He got the paint, he got to pick out his choice of colors, they got the wallpaper, got to choose what wallpaper they wanted, even so far as having a big bookcase built, right? And then when they were, called out, so to speak, on that, and they were deciding to reduce that rate, they paid him back for what he had paid. So he ended up not paying anything extra, right? It all came out in the wash, and he got all those extra perks. Neville did not react to the way it looked at the beginning. He didn't react to being charged more, right, at the beginning. He didn't give up on his belief that he was going to only pay a certain amount. He just accepted it in the moment, and it all, through a natural bridge of incidents, worked out in his favor. So guys, this is what trusting is all about. This is what faith is all about. This is what manifesting is all about when we see those things that make us think, okay, this isn't working out for me. I'm not manifesting. Nothing is happening like I expected. We do nothing other than reminding ourselves that the power is within us somehow, some way. We have favor somehow, some way. This is going to get me to where I want to go. This is going to get me to the thing that I prefer. This is going to get me to my desired end. I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not going to get triggered. I'm not going to give up in my trust and my faith that the power is within me. Okay. And I've got another verse that I love. This is one of my favorite verses that I'm going to share with you. And it says, this is in Ephesians. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. So what you have to remember is the power is within you, right? And when you keep the faith in that, when you keep the trust, the confidence, the belief, it is doing exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask or think. Above, right? Like my son just wanted a gun safe. He ended up with 3 of them. He ended up with a lot more money in his checking account, and he ended up with exactly the gun safe that he wanted. Neville Goddard, right? He got to pick out paint colors. He got to pick out wallpaper. He got to have a bookshelf built for all of his books. That wasn't something that he necessarily was thinking he might get when he began to look for an apartment, but he got exceedingly abundantly above all that he could ask or think. So guys, it's so important to cultivate that trust, that confidence, the understanding that it's all within you. And when you allow yourself to just relax, even if things look like they're not working out, allow yourself to just take a deep breath, right? And remind yourself, it's all within me. Everything is working out for me. Somehow, some way, this situation is getting me to where I want to go, and it's even going to be better than I could expect. Everything is working in your favor. Always. Make that a mantra daily. Make that the thought that you focus on as you wake up in the morning and you start your day. Make that the last thing that you think about. Everything is always working in my favor. Everything, according to the power in me, is moving me towards exceedingly abundantly better than anything that I could ask or think of. Begin to believe in that and cultivate your faith and your trust and your confidence in the power within you. It's always on your side. It's always got your back. It's always there to help you. It's always there moving you in the direction that you want to go. And it really wants to bless you. This power, this faith, the universe wants to bless you and just pour out great things, blessings, things better than you can even ask for, right? So cultivate the faith within you. All right, guys, I do want to mention that I'm available for coaching. If you'd like to work one-on-one with me, look down below for the links and sign up for some coaching. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching me, and I'll see you next week. Bye.